In this video, we're going to go through on Anglo-Chinese School Primary 5 end of year examination, Mathematics, Paper 2, Primary 5. Okay, so let's get started on the first question. Okay, the first question says 8,000 milliliters of water was poured into 5 containers equally. How many liters of water were there in one container? All right, so we can write down 5 containers is equal to 8,000 milliliters. So we want to have one container, right, which is equal to, so let me get the arrow, 8,000. Then we divide it by 5. Okay, so we can use our calculator. Where is my calculator? Okay, so 8,000 divided by 5, this will give us 1,600. Okay, this is 1,600 milliliters. But the thing is, the question asked how many liters of water. So in this case, we need to convert, right? So if we were to do a simple recap, 1 milliliters is, 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter, or 1,000. Then we divide by, okay, give me a second, divide by 1,000 equal to 1 liter. So 1 milliliter is equal to 1 divided by 1,000. Okay, so the thing is, I'm gonna not calculate this because this is just an equation. So 1,600 milliliters equal to, so we just change, right, this one. So if I were to highlight this, 1,000, 1,000 in this case, right? So whoops, E. So 1 over here is equal to 1 over here, right? That's why it's over here. So in essence, 1,600 we divide by 1,000 is equal to, in this case, divide by 1,000, 1.6. So the answer to this is 1.6 liters. There you go. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. So a 6-sided die has a number from 1 to 6 on each side. The die was rolled 3 times and the number on top of the die was recorded. The product of the 3 numbers was 96. What were the 3 numbers recorded? Okay, what does product means? Product means what times what is equal to what is that? So product of 3 numbers is basically A times B times C. So these are the 3 numbers, right? Okay, so in this case, what were the 3 numbers recorded? So we know that A times B times C is equal to 96, right? So the thing is that in this case, did it say the same number? It doesn't say the same number. But what we know is that it is a 6-sided die. So that means if we were to have 96, right, then we divide it by 6. Let's see what the answer is. Okay, so we open the calculator. So 96 divided by 6, and this will give us 16. Okay, so that means, one clue is 16 is, 6 is one of the number, right? There you have 16. So in this case, A is 6, let's say. So B times C is equal to 16. So what can this 16 be, right? From 1 to 6. So if you say 4 times 4 is equal to 16, then that means B is equal to 4 and C is equal to 4. So in this case, A, B, C will be 6 times 4 times 4. Okay. All right. So another simpler example, this is one way, right? Okay, another simple example is you can do this, which is to branch out. Okay, so you have 96, all right, and then in a way you can branch out, right? In this case over here, which is okay, and that's about it. All right, let's move on to question number 3. So question 3 says, draw the side view of the solid on the square grid as what you see over here. So what I can do is pretty straightforward. You can just number the square grid. So this is on the side view. So I'm gonna put here as 1, right? And then I'm gonna put here as 2, right? And then where should I put 3? So I can put 3 here and then put 4 over here, right? Then I'll put 5 and then I'll put 6. That's what you see over here. Okay. So the side view is essentially we are only having 6 squares, but how is it going to be arranged? Since this whole block is essentially on top, in front of it, then that's where it's actually just a normal rectangle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna draw squares or shade squares, right? That is 2 by 3, 3 by 2, right? Which is 1, okay, like this. Let me make it super accurate so I can like fit in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. That's what you see over here. And that's it. There you go. So if you draw maybe over here, this is also correct. If you draw over here, this is correct. So essentially like this. Okay, so it is just 2 by 3 in this sense over here. Okay, let's move on. Question 4. The table shows the parking charges at a car park. So from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. is 60 cents, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. is $1.20, and 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. is 60 cents over here. So Mr. Ho parked his car for 11 to 2:15. How much did he pay for the parking? All right, so let's break it down. So let's get the 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. block over here, right? Okay, so I'm gonna draw like this, and I'm gonna have this over here as well. So over here, I'm gonna have it like this. Okay, so this is the you know 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay, block, right? So 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., which is basically dollars point dollars 60 per 30 minutes or part thereof, right? Like this, okay, something like this. All right, so let me just also make it a little bit smaller so we can squeeze in. All right, so that means, so for this is 60 cents per 30 minutes, so number of 30 minutes block is equal to 1 hour or 60 minutes. 60, then we divide by 30, which is 2. So total cost will be 2 times 0.6, which is equal to dollars 1.20 cents. That's what you see over here. Okay, let me make it a little bit smaller. All right, next one. Let's make it into another block. Make it smaller. Let's make it into a green color. Right, green. All right, so here also make it green. Noise. All right, so from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Right, so we have 12 p.m. over here to 2 p.m. Then we're gonna change the rates because peak hour, $1.20. Wow, very expensive. Okay, number of 30 minutes block. Okay, so 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. is basically 2 hours, which is 120 minutes. So 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Now we're gonna add this in. Is equal to 2 hours or 2 times 60, which is basically 120 minutes, right? Okay, so 120 divided by 3. Whoops. Let me make this like this. So this will be 4. So total cost will be 4 times $1.20. Point 2, this will give you $4.80 in this case over here, right? Okay, and the last one, right, which is the we have until 2:15. So I'm gonna create another block. So I'm gonna put this as yellowish orange. That's what I see over here. So what I'm gonna do is basically we have another one, which is the 2 p.m. to 2:15. 2:15 p.m. Okay, so that means it is just number of 30 minutes block. This will be 60 cents per 30 minutes, 0. 0.6, and number of 30 minutes block is 1. So total cost is 1 times 0. 0.6 again, and this will give us 0.60, right, in this case over here. Okay, so it will look something like this, and this will be yellow. All right, and lastly, what's the total cost? So let me write this down. Total cost is equal to 1.2 plus 4.8 plus 0.6. Okay, so let's use the calculator, right? So in this case, 1.2 plus 4.8 plus 0.6. This will give us $6.60. Okay, and there you go. That's the answer. Dollars 6.60. Okay. Ta-da. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. Okay, so Ali had some money at first. He gave 2/7 of his money to his mother and 1/5 of the remainder to his sister. He had $216 left. How much of the money did he have at first? Okay, so there's two ways. One way is we can do the model. So first is that in this case 2/7 of his money. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a model that is 2/7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, so 2/7 of his money to his mother. So I'm going to highlight this to be maybe like that. Okay, 2/7 to his mother. So I'm going to draw an arrow as well. This is to his mother. All right, and then 1/5 of the remainder. Okay, so 2/7 is and 1/5 of the remainder. So where is the remainder? Remainder is this over here. Okay, all right, so remainder, and then the remainder 1/5 to his sister. Right, so his sister is, don't know if I can put the word, I'm gonna put sis lah. Sister. Let's see if I can fit this into one little block. Okay, what I'm gonna do is gonna put text sister as one here. So I'm gonna put it like this. Okay. So now and then after that he has left with the this part, right? $216 is left. So left 216 left. Okay, so how much money did he have at first? So from here I think you can probably solve this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So in this case, 4 units. Okay. Right. In this case is equal to $216. All right. So now you just need 1 unit, which is basically 216. Whoops. 216, and then we divide it by 4. Okay. So 216 divided by 4, and this will give us $54. $54. So how many total number of units is 7 units. So 7 units is equal to 54, or 7 times 54. This will give us $378. $378. And there you go. That's the answer. $378. All right. Okay. So another way, in in this case, I think this way will be a better way to do it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. Okay, question number 6 says, in the figure below, ABCD is a rhombus, BAD is 110 degrees. Find BDC. So BDC. Okay, so rhombus means opposite angles are the same, right? If you cut into half, then it will become an equilateral triangle. In this case over here, right? So BDC is this one. Let me draw it out for you. So what is this angle, right? With a question mark. In this case over here. All right. So with this, what we can do is basically I will say that for the rhombus, all sides are equal. What you see over here, this will be, whoops, right? So all sides are equal in this case, right? So what that means is this will be an equilateral triangle, and that means over here, this will be 110 degrees as well, 110 degrees, okay? 110 degrees. So then essentially, since two of the sides are the same, what we can do is we can have angle BDC is equal to 180 minus 110. Okay. And then we divide this by 2. Okay. And this is, so in essence, what we can do is 180 minus 11, what is 180 minus 110? 70. Then we divide by 2. This will give us 35. Okay, so if I were to use my calculator, double confirm 180 minus 110, 70, then we divide by 2, 35. Okay, very good. So this will be 35 degrees in this case over here. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. All right, question 7. So question 7 says, Leon works 1/5 hours daily from Monday to Friday, and he also worked for 2/3 on a Saturday. He did not work on Sunday. How many weeks must he work to have worked on 535 hours? Okay, so basically, if I were to draw this out, okay, so in essence over here, right, so I'm gonna just put like 1/5, right, and this is Monday, right? So Monday, okay, so I'm gonna draw this out really quickly. So essentially it looks like this. So from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, all of these hours are being added up. Okay. So this is essentially 1 week because he did not work on Sunday. So how many weeks, right? So weeks, not days, weeks to work 535 hours. Okay. So first thing first, we want to get the weekdays, which is Monday to Friday. Okay, so weekdays is equal to, you use 5 times and then 6, 1, 5. Okay, this is small. So 1 and 5. Okay, I'm going to put a line over here. Right, so 5, 6, 15. I'm going to put this as such. Right, as what you see over here. So essentially, an easier way to multiply this is to multiply the 6 and also multiply the 5. So what this means, or what it looks like, oops, is essentially, right, is 5 times, go to bracket 5 times 6, and then this 1/5 over here. All right, this and this, duplicate this, right? So 5 times 1 as well. How 5 like this. That's what you see over here. Okay, so in this case, what would this look like? So this will look like 5 times 6 is 30, right? And then essentially it's a plus, right? So I'm going to put this whole thing over here. So 5 times 1 is 5 out of 5 is basically plus 5 of 5, which is 1 in this case. Okay, and the weekdays he worked is 31 hours. All right. All right, let's move on to the next part, which is the weekends. Right. So, I mean, total. So, 1 week, the total is basically 31 plus, and then you have 4, 2 out of 3, right? So, 4. And then let me grab the fractions for, right? 2 out of 3. Okay. And what would this give you? This will give you 35, 2 out of 3 lah, in essence, right? 35, and then you have 2 out of 3. Okay, pretty straightforward. So the thing is, we also want to convert this into a mixed number so we can divide it properly, right? In this case, so we'll change this to a mixed number, which is essentially equal to, right? So this 2/3 is basically, what I'm going to do is 2/3 over here, and then you have 35 times 3 plus 2, okay, in this case, right? And what will this give us? So you can use the calculator, always use our calculator. So 35 times, wait, times 3 plus 1 plus 2, in this case it gives us 107, right? So 107 out of 3. Okay, so this will give us 107 out of 3. So I'm just gonna use this again, right? 107 out of 3. Oops, 107 out of 3. So you see over here. So 1 week is equal to 107 out of 3. So how many weeks? So number of weeks is equal to uh basically 535. I'm gonna put this in new line. 535 535 divided by 107 3, like this. Okay, so what would this give us? Okay, so basically, so 1 week is 173. So what we can do is, when you divide a fraction like this, is the same as 535 times, but you switch it, right? So times, and then for this number of weeks, okay, over here I'm going to put like this. So instead of 107 divided by 3, this will be 3 out of 107. So I'm going to put here 3, this will be 107. Okay, and what would this give us? Okay, so you can use the calculator, oops, which is, in this case, 535 times, times 3, then divided by 107. This will give us 15 weeks. And there you go. That's the answer. The answer is 15 weeks. Right? Okay, that's it. All right, question number 8. Tiffany and Leila had the same amount of money at first. Tiffany spent all her money to buy one dress and 6 identical skirts. Leila bought one such dress and a blouse and had $72 left. The blouse cost $8 more than the skirt. What was the cost of the blouse? Okay, so let's draw some models. So we have Tiffany, and then we also have Leila over here. So we know that both of these two girls, I assume, or guys, yeah, no, no judgment. They both bought the same dress. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna just put it here to say that this is a dress. In this case over here, right? So Tiffany bought a dress. Leila also bought a dress. So the next thing is that for Tiffany, let's do Tiffany first. Tiffany spent all her money to buy one dress and 6 identical skirts. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the skirt as this, right? So let me just put this as a skirt, right, with the arrow. over here. So this is a skirt. Okay, so this is a skirt. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 skirts. So Tiffany bought 6 skirts. Next thing is this is done. Now let's move on to Leila. So for Leila, she bought one such dress and had $72 left. And she also bought a blouse, right? So in this case, the blouse over here, right? Just put blouse. Okay. At the same time, she also had $72 left, right? So in this case, I'm gonna do is say here $72 left, right? $72. So another thing is the blouse costs $8 more than the skirt. So if I were to move this a little bit down, okay, with the line over here, so we have one skirt, and this over here is essentially $8, right? That's what we see over here, right? $8. Okay, so the difference between the blouse and one skirt is around $8. Okay, so what was the cost of the blouse? So essentially, if you were to see over here, right, technically for 5 skirts, we actually can get the total, right? So in this case, if you were to see it, let me just give you a rectangle with this red over here. So in essence, we can get 5 skirts in this amount, right? Essentially, let me just put it over here, something like this. Okay, so in a way, we can get 5 skirts for 72 plus $8, right? So let me also put it over here. So the arrow is a bit to like this. Okay, so this is what it looks like over here, right? Something like this, right? So that means in this case, 5 skirts, right, is equal to 72 plus 8. Okay, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skirts, and this will give us $80. So one skirt is equal to 80 divided by 5, and this will give us $16, right? So to just double check, we will go to our calculator. So 80 then divided by 5, this is 16. Right, then we see that the blouse is one skirt plus $18, yeah? Because it says here the blouse costs more than $8. So that means in this case, blouse or one blouse is equal to 16 plus 8, and this will give us $24. And that's it. The answer to this question is $24. All right, let's move on to the next question. I'll put here as one skirt. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 9. Okay, so question number 9, it says a triangle is drawn in a rectangle A, B, C, D, and E as shown below. Find the area of the triangle A, D, and F. So you see here. Right, so how do we do this? Right, so essentially to get the shaded, triangle. So first is that we need to get the area of this triangle. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. So basically we need to get this AD, ADB, and then also A as well. That's what you see over here. All right, so this triangle, and then we minus off the, let's do the green here. Okay, so we need to minus off this triangle inside it as well. Okay, so this one, right? So if we can get these two triangles, then we can essentially get the shaded triangle. Okay, so what do we do? So we first get this red triangle. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so triangle, green, black. Okay, triangle ADB. Okay, is equal to, so what's ADB? In this case, we know that the height over here, okay, the red color one, is basically 14 centimeters, right? So that is the same as this thing over here. So this 14 centimeters is over here, right? Okay, so there's also a right angle triangle. So I'm just gonna put this over here, make it solid, okay, like this. Okay, so basically triangle ADB is equal to half times base times height. Okay, so what's the base? Right, so the base is equal to 24 centimeters, right? So the base is 24 and the height is 14. Okay, so let's use our calculator, right? So half, if you want a shortcut, is basically 0.5, right? 0.5 times 24 times 14. Okay, and this will give us 168, right? Centimeter square. Okay, so I'm gonna put here square. All right, so now we know triangle ADB, right, which is the red line over here. So I'm gonna put a line as well, so it makes sense. Oops, okay, never mind. You right. Okay, so next one will just be triangle AFB, right? AFB is equal to, so we know the height, we know the base, right? The base is still 24 as well, right? Okay, so triangle is still half times 24, but what is the height? Okay, so the height is a bit different. The height is this one, okay, which is over here, this height over here, right? Okay, this one, and then I'm gonna duplicate this. Right, so essentially the height is not 14 centimeters, but it's this one over here, like this, right? So what's the height? So basically we just minus 14 minus 5. So this one is 14 minus 5. Okay, so if I were to, just say height of triangle AFB, right, is equal to 14 minus 5, which is equal to 9 centimeters. So we just times 9 lah, right? 9. Okay, so half times 24, if you know mentally, then it should be 12, right? But let's do use the calculator since we have it. Times 9, and this will become 108. Okay, so 108 centimeter square. Okay, so we know triangle ADB and we know height of the triangle of AFB. So now to get a triangle ADF is basically triangle ADB, which is the red one. Let's see the line. Okay, so let's see the line, make it red. So triangle ADB, right? And then we have triangle AFB, which is green in this case. So triangle ADF is triangle ADB minus triangle AFB. Okay, and this is basically 168 minus 108, and this will give us 60 centimeter square. Okay, in this case, so the answer to this is 60 centimeter square, not in green but in black. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 10. So the bar graph shows the distance traveled by a car from Monday to Friday. So we have all of the distance. Okay, so this is part A. Which day did the car travel the furthest? Okay, so from here, generally you probably can see which one, because the tallest, the tallest, what do you call this? The tallest bar is Tuesday. So if I were to write here, tallest bar is Tuesday. So the answer is Tuesday. Okay, pretty straightforward. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so yeah, visually you don't have to calculate even. Okay, so now the next question is, if the average distance traveled by the car on a Saturday and Sunday is 290 kilometers, what's the average distance traveled by the car from Monday to Sunday? So correct your answer to the nearest tenth, right? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to get all of the days from this. Okay, so let's calculate what's the distance for each day in this case. So first is Monday. So I'm gonna put it here. Right, Monday is 250 kilometers. So I'm gonna put brackets so we know what this is. 250 for Monday. Okay, so because we see it over here, Monday, right here. Okay, let's move on. Tuesday. What about Tuesday? So Tuesday is 300 kilometers. Okay, so we're gonna put here 300. Oops, 300 like this, right? So Wednesday is 200. Okay, so this is 200. That's what you see over here. Then what about Thursday? Thursday is 250 as well. Okay, so 250. So if you were to draw the line 250, and then lastly you have Friday, which is 150. Okay, which in this case over here 150. All right, so we got all of our numbers in this case. So let me zoom out a bit. All right, so what we need to do is we need to add all of this, including the 290. So Saturday, Sunday, okay, Saturday plus Sunday is equal to 290 times 2, which is 580. Okay, so use your calculator. 290 times 2, oops, 290 times 2 is 580. All right, so that's Saturday and Sunday. So what about the weekdays? All right, so Monday to Friday, which is equal to this everything here, right? You see, so Monday to Friday is 250, 250 plus 300 plus 200 plus 250 plus 150. So 500, this should be 1150. So if I were to just copy and paste this into the calculator, okay, I'm going to manually do it. So 250 plus 300 plus 200 plus 250 plus 150. Okay, and this gives you 1550. Okay, so total in 1 week is equal to 1150 plus 580 equal to, okay, so let's use our calculator, plus 580, and this will give you 1730. So average from month to sun equal to, I'm going to move it here. Okay, basically we have 7 days, right? 1730. So I'm going to put here number of days from Monday to Sunday is equal to 7. So 17030 divided by 7. Okay, oops. Okay, and let's use the calculator. Okay, this one division is usually very hard for me. Okay, and this will give us 247 142. 247.142. So correct your answer to the nearest tenth, right? So let me just put here. Okay, so the nearest tenth, right? So nearest tenth is not 4, is 1 over here. Okay, so in this case, yeah, this will become 247.1 kilometers in this case over here. So that's the answer. Okay, so for question B, part B, 247.1 kilometers. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 11. So Mrs. Tan, filled up her car with $60 worth of petrol. Petrol kiosk A was offering a 12% discount, while petrol B was offering a cash discount of $2 on top of 10% discount. Find the difference in the discounts offered by the two petrol kiosks. Okay, so let's get with this. So let's go with petrol kiosk A discount is equal to dollars or 60 times 12% in this case. So let's use the calculator. So 60 multiplied by 12%, and this will give us dollars 7.20. Okay, so that's petrol kiosk A discount. So let's move on to petrol kiosk B discount, right? So petrol kiosk B discount is 12%. 10%, right? And then plus $2 discount. Okay, so this will become, so this is actually 6 plus 2. So if I were to double confirm with my calculator, 60 times 10%, right? This is $6, and then we have additional 2, and this will become $8. Okay, so what's the difference? So discount difference is equal to 8 minus 7.2 equal to $0.80. So it's just 80 cents in this case over here. Right? So 80 cents. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So 11A here, 11B here. So Mrs. Tan decided to fill up her car And petrol kiosk B. Not good decision, right? Okay, yeah. How much did Mrs. Stern pay, inclusive of 9% GST? Okay, so what we need to do is to get the discount and then plus the 9% GST after that. Okay, so now petrol kiosk B, uh, paid payment is equal to dollars 60 minus 8, right? The $8 discount, this will give us $52. Okay, so we know, so if I were to just write it down, GST is equal to 9%, right? So that means total plus GST is equal to 109%. So that means paid is equal to dollars 52 times 109%. Okay, why is 109%? Because 100%, 100% plus 9 equal to 109%. Okay, so that's a quick tip right there. Okay, and let's use the calculator. So it's 52 times 109%. This is $56.68. 68. Okay, and that's the answer. So $56.68. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 12. Okay, Mrs. Teo baked a total of 612 cookies and strawberry cupcakes at first. She sold half of the chocolate cupcakes and baked another 48 strawberry cupcakes. In the end, she had an equal number of chocolate and strawberry cupcakes. How many strawberry cupcakes did she have in the end? So we know that she has an equal number of chocolate cupcakes in the end. So what we need to do is you can draw a model here. So first is, all right, first what we're going to do is we're going to draw the chocolate. Okay, so chocolate. Okay, so chocolate, she had half like this. Okay, and then the other half is gone. Okay, so then next one is we have strawberry after 48. So maybe this is a bit bigger here. Okay, I'm gonna move. All right, I'm gonna put like this. Oh, I should make it them invincible. Okay, and then basically 48. Okay, so in this case over here, let me make it a little bit smaller as what is over here. Right, so this is how it looks like. So chocolate, she gave half, so that means 1 out of 2, so she gave half, and then she baked an additional 48, and now they are the same amount. All right, so in essence, if I were to put this as original, original, and then this is original, so all the original over here is 612 in essence lah, right? So something like this lah, right? Like this. Okay, so the arrow I'm gonna put here solid, this is 612, right? Without the 48, right? In this case over here. So what that means is if we were to add the 48, then we actually can get 3 units, correct? Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. So that means, okay, let me put the line, strawberry no more. Okay, so this is it. Nope. Okay, here. All right, so yeah, 48 over here. Okay, so what this means is arrow is 3 units is equal to 612 plus 48. Okay, and this should give us 660. So let's double confirm with our calculator. Where's our calculator? So 612 plus 48, this will give us 660. So 1 unit is equal to 660, and then we divide it by 3 in this case. So this should be 220. So let's double check. So we divide by 3. This will give us 220. And in this case, how many cupcakes should you have at first? So 1 unit is 20, right? In this case over here. Right. So that means the answer to this is 220. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. How many more chocolate cupcakes and strawberry cupcakes did she have at first? Okay. So you know that this is 2 units and this is part of a unit. So we know strawberry at first is equal to, so we have 220, right? 220, okay, minus 48. Okay, and what does this give us? This give us 172, right? So if I were to use 0 minus 48, okay, this 172, then chocolate at first is basically 2 units, which is 220 times 2. So you see the model over here, 2 units, right? Then this will give us 440. Okay, so double check again, 220 times 2, go 440. So difference at first will be 440 minus 172, and this will give us, so let's do that, 440 minus 172, and this will give us 268. 268. And that's the answer to this question over here. Alrighty, let's move on to the next step. Let's move on to the next question. Question 13. Right, so question 13 says a fruit seller had some fruits. 1/5 of the fruits were apple and the rest were oranges. She sold 4/7 of the apples and 51 of the oranges. She then had 2/5 of the fruits left. Okay, so how many fruits did she have at first? So what we can do is we can highlight this. 1/5 of the fruits were apples and the rest were oranges. So there's two ways to do it. I'm gonna do both ways because it's one is to visualize, which is using models. The other one is to use fractions as well, which we will also be using. So in this case over here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use 1/5 as an apple, right? That's what I see over here, right? So 1/5 of the apples, and then what is the rest of the oranges? If 1/5 is the apple, then that means the oranges is 4, right? In this case over here, right? So if I were to put it over here, apples, okay, is equal to 1 over 5, and then oranges is equal to 1 minus 1 over 5, and this will give us 4 over 5. Okay, so in this case over here, these are the apples. I'm going to put arrow. These are the apples, right? Apples, and these are the oranges. In this case over here, okay, hopefully the color makes sense, right? Apple is red, oranges are orange. Okay, so the next part is he sold 4/7 of the apples in this case over here. Okay, so we just focus on this. She sold 4/7 of the apples. So if we were to zoom in the apples, right, then what we can do is we can draw another red rectangle over here, and let's draw it 7 times because apple is only one rectangle over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? In this case over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so let's make the width a little bit smaller. That's what I see over here. And then she sold 4/7. Oops, right? So 4/7, she sold it somewhere here. Okay, so maybe this. Let me just put it over here. Right, 4/7. This is sold in this case over here. Okay, let's put it black. Right, so in this 4/7 is sold. Let's put it like this. Okay, 4/7 is sold. Right, so how do we then represent the whole oranges? Technically, we can make this one rectangle into 7 parts. So that means apples, right, sold is equal to, so in this case, 1 over 5. Yeah, so it's equal to, right? So if I put a proper fraction, 1 over 5, okay, and then I'll put a line over here, 1 over 5, okay, and then we multiply this 1 over 5, okay, to 4 over 7, right? It's this, oh yeah, 4 over 7, 4 out of 7, okay, 7 over here. That's what you see over here, right? 4 out of 7, okay, then we times it. Okay, so in this case, if you were to guess one part is equal to 7, that means the apples sold is, in fact, if I were to just get the answer to this, so 4 times 1 equal to 4, 5 times 7 is equal to 35. Okay, so in this case over here, apple sold is 4 out of 35, right? So this also means that 4 out of 35 apples are sold. So that means total units is equal to 35. Why? Is because we have 7 over here, and then if we were to make this oranges, so we have 7. So 7, 14, 21, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. So in total, we have 35 units, right? You could see that if you were to draw models, then it's going to be quite tough, right? So that's why it's better to use fractions. But if you want to use models, that's fine as well. Okay. So in this case, this is how it looks like. So total units is 35. Then we know that in this case, right, 4 units are, in this case over here, apples sold is 4 units, right? Okay, so now we can, in a way, find or solve this, right? She then had 2/5 left. Okay, so we know 4 units are sold. That means we can get the total units 35 from this simple equation. So we know that the fraction of fruits left is 2 out of 5 in this case over here. So that, okay, so we know fractions of fruits left is 2/5. Fraction of fruits sold is equal to 1 minus 2 over 5, and this will give you 3 over 5 in this case over here. Okay, so now, okay, so with that said, why do we need to calculate the fraction of fruits sold is because 3 out of 5. And then we also know that there's 51 oranges that is sold. Okay, so we also know that apples is sold 4 units. Okay, so total fruits sold is equal to 3 out of 5 times 35 units. Okay, so we can use our calculator, right? So in this case, 3 out of 5 is basically divided by 5, and then you multiply by 35. In this case, it will be 21. So we know that there's 21 units or sold. In this case, on total fruits sold units, 21 units. So 21 units is basically the number of apples sold plus the number of pears sold. So we also know that the number of pears sold is equal to, so apples sold in terms of units is 4 units, pears sold is actually 51. So with this, we just put inside the different values. So apple sold is 4 units plus pear sold is 51. Okay, so that means 21 minus 4, this will be 17, right? 17 units equal to 51. So 1 unit is equal to how many? We can put 51 and then we divide by 17, and this will be equal to, so we can use our calculator. So 51 divided by 17, this gives us 3. Okay, if it's a whole number, that means you are at the correct way lah, right? So how many fruits does she have at first? So we know that the total units is 35. That means 35 units is equal to 35 times 3. This will give us 105. Let's double confirm. Times this multiplied by 35, and this will give us 105. And that's the correct answer. 105 units. Okay. All right. So 105 fruits in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 14. So question 14 says the usual price of a kilogram of flour is $1.80. During a sale, each kilogram of flour costs 30 cents cheaper. How much did Karen pay for 31 kilograms of flour? Okay, so pretty straightforward. Usual price is equal to dollars 1.80. So this is, I would say, sale price is equal to 1.8 minus 30 cents 0.3. Okay, so 30 cents is equal to dollar 0.30, okay, in this case. So we have 1.8 minus 0.3 equal to $1.5 in this case. Dollars, $1.50. Okay. So now we know that 1 kg for the sale, right? In this case is $1.50. Right. So 31 kg is basically 31 times 1.50, okay, is equal to 46.50. So let's double confirm that. 31 times 1.5, this is $4 and $46.50 in this case over here, right? There you go. So this is the answer, $46.50. Okay. All right, part B. If Karen paid $23.40 to buy some flour at the usual price, how much more flour can she buy during the sale? Okay, so we just need to know the different weights for the price of $23.40. So we know that the original price is $1.80. So I would say original weight, I guess, is equal to dollars 23. Okay, is equal to 23.40, and then we divide it by 1.80 or 1.8, yeah, 1.0. So we will use the calculator. Okay, 23.4 divided by 1.8, this is us 13 kg. So she bought 13 kg worth of flour. So what about sale weight? Okay, so same price again, 23.40 divided by, so what will be the cheaper price? The sale price will be 150. So 1.5. And then let's calculate this using a calculator. 23.4 divided by 1.5. And this will give us 15.6 kilogram. So how much more she can buy? So more flour, I guess, is equal to 15. I'm very bad at names. 15.6 minus 13 is equal to 2.6 kilograms. Okay, in this case. So more flour to buy during sale. Something like that. Okay. So the answer to this is 2.6 kilograms. All right, let's move on to the next question. All right, question 15. So, James poured 4 buckets of water into an empty regular tank measuring 60 centimeters long, 40 centimeters wide, and 70 centimeters high. Each bucket had a capacity of 8 liters. How much more water did James need to fill the tank to a depth of 18 centimeters? So, I already draw 18 centimeters over here. Okay, so how much water? So what we need to do is we need to know how much the water is currently in the tank. Water currently in the tank is equal to 4 times 8. So 4 buckets of 8 liters, which is 32 liters in this case over here. All right. So the next thing is we also want to know how much water do we need when it's 18 centimeters. Okay. So water with depth of 18 centimeters is equal to basically 18 times, so length 60 times breadth 40 times height 18. So water, or I would say volume of water with depth of 18 centimeters, which is, to just recap, which is length times breadth times height, okay, which is 60 times 40 times 18. So in this case we'll use the calculator, right? So 60 times 40 times 18, 18, and this will give us 43,200 centimeter cube, right? So we need to change this into liters, which is basically 43.2 liters in this case, right? So how we know that is basically 43 this. Okay, so if I were to separate this, it's equal to 43,200, and then we divided by, because liters is, we need to divide it by 1000, right? So divide, okay, give me a second, divide by 1000, and this will give you 43.2 liters. So how much more water? So water to fill to 18 centimeter depth is equal to the difference, right? So 43.2 minus 32. Okay, and in this case, let's use the calculator for 3.2 and then minus 32. This will give us 11.2 liters in this case. So therefore, the answer to this question is 11.2 liters. All right, pretty straightforward. Let's move on to the next question. Question 16. The line graph below shows Cynthia's saving from March to July. Hey, pretty good. All right, at least got savings every month, right? So monthly savings. So what was Cynthia's average monthly savings from March to July? So March over here. Okay, I'm going to write down every month how much savings. Okay, so in this case for March it is $50, right? So if I were to draw the line, put the rate over here, the March, okay, this is 50 over here, right? So I'm just going to draw this line. Okay, next one, let's go for April. So April in this case is much higher, right? And then she saved around how much? $70, which is also very good. So this will be $70. Okay, next one for May. May itself, let's see how much May she got. All right, so thing can see May itself, maybe a different one, this color. All right, so May itself is $60 in this case over here. Okay, so I use different colors so it doesn't get a bit confusing. All right, how about June? Okay, June itself, let me use another color. Oops, then this should be over here. So this should be $40 instead for June, right? And then lastly, dollars 40. And lastly with July. July, let's choose another one. Let's choose a purple one. Whoops. Okay. Purple one with July in this case, right? And then we have $80. Yes, yes. Okay, so in this case we have $80 for July. Okay, so now let's calculate the average. So with this, so average like, right? So I mean total is equal to all of this 50, 70, 60, 40, and 80. So total is equal, I'm going to put this in another line. Okay, so 50 plus 70 plus 60 plus 40 plus 80. And what would this give us? So it's 150, 100, 250, 300. So this will give us $300. Let us double check with our calculator. So this is 50, then plus 70 plus 60 plus 40 plus 80, and right, very good, $300. Okay, so now the next one is what's the average? So 1 2 3 4 5. So number of months is equal to 5, then no 4 5, then I'm going to put a line here. So the average monthly savings is equal to, in this case, total, then we have divide by number of months. Okay, and this will equal to 300 divided by 5, and this will give us 60, right? Double confirm with our calculator. Divide by 5. Oops, 300 divided by 5, and this will give us 60. So therefore the average is $60 in this case. Ta-dang. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Cynthia's average monthly savings from March to August is $75. So March to August, so March to August, so July, August is 75. How much was he saving in August? Okay, so number of months from March to August. Okay, you need to know, right? Number of months is actually 6. March, April, May, June, July, and August. So this is 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6. Then for us, we already know our total is $300. Uh, so let's get a total for this from March to August. Okay, oops, which is equal to, so number of months from March to August 6. Okay, so total is basically 6 times 75. Okay, and what would this give us? 75 is 150, so it should be 450. So 6 times 75, this will give us $450. Okay, so now we know the total from March to August. We also know the total from March to September, July, which is in this case $300. Okay, so this is dollars 300. So that means for August, so yeah, August will be 450 minus 300. It will be dollars 150 in this case over here. Okay, and that's the answer. Dollars 150. Wow, 3 marks. Okay, last one. Last question, question number 17. Right, circles and triangles are used to form figures that follow a pattern. The first four figures are shown below: figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, and figure 4. So, if all of these different numbers, complete a table for figure 9. So, we see over here we have 4, 4, and 8. So, usually I don't really look into this, okay? So, I just look into this over here. Then we have 7, we have 8, and then we have 15. Okay, so if you could see, right, 4 plus 4 equal to 8. 7 plus 8 is equal to 15. 10 plus 12 equal to 22. Okay, pretty straightforward. You know that, right? Okay, so in essence, basically, let me put a rectangle. This rectangle, gotta put in red, right? Okay, and then we plus this. Okay, so I'm gonna put here a big plus. Plus. Okay, I'm gonna put a very big plus is equal to, right, this. Okay, pretty straightforward. So with this, if you know this already, then basically we can reverse it, right? So in this case, we will just say 64 minus 28. Okay, and this will give us 34. 36. Okay, so use our calculator. 64 minus 28. This will give us 36. And that's the answer. The answer is 36. In this case over here. Right, and our kings is here lah. 64 minus 28. So this will give us 36. Okay, next one. In figure 50, how many triangles were used? Okay, so 1, 4, 2, 7, 3, 10, 4, 13, 9, 28. Okay, so how do we do this? Right? So if you look at this pattern for figure B, what I'm going to do, I'm just write down here. So 1, this is figure 1. Figure 1 is equal to 4. Okay. Then figure 2 is equal to 7. Okay. Figure 3 is equal to 10. So essentially, if you were to see the pattern over here, we are just adding 3, right? So let me zoom this in, make it this a bit bigger, put the arrow, uh, and then I'm gonna put this like this. Okay, so from 4 to 7, oops, arrow. Okay, so from 4 to 7, okay, we basically just add plus 3, and then we did the same with 7 and 10. Okay, so I'm gonna place, oops. Okay, so I'm gonna get another arrow as well. Where's my arrow? Okay, get another arrow, and then this will basically say plus 3 as well. Okay, so in essence, for figure 2, basically we add, for figure 1 is basically 1 plus 3, right? So if I were to do this another way, so figure 1 will be, okay, I'll make it a bit smaller. Okay, so figure 1 is basically 1 plus 3. Okay, and then figure 2 equal 1 plus 3 plus 3. And then figure 3 is equal to 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Okay, so I think hopefully you can see the obvious one, right? So 2 over here is basically the number of trees. Okay, oops. Okay, here we go. Oh my god, so difficult. Oh no. Okay, you know what? Okay, so 2 basically is the number of trees. Figure 3, in this case, I'm going to put it red, is the number of trees over here. Okay, so that means it's the same as, is basically the same as in this case 1 plus 1 times 3, Now I'm going to do the same. So figure 2 is 1 times 2 times 3, and figure 3 is 1 times 3 times 3. Okay, like this. That's what you see over here. So I'm going to connect it something like this. Okay, so then yeah, that's roughly about it lah. So in essence, we already know how to okay, then I'm going to make this rate. Okay, 3 times 3. Okay, so that means with this, what we can do is, if it's figure 50, that means we need to do 1 plus 50 times 3. Okay, in this case over here. So I'm going to put a line over here, then I'm going to put another line over here. Okay, so figure 50 is 1 plus 50 times 3. So 50 times 3 is 150, which is equal to 151. So the answer to this is 151. There you go, 151. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so that's for B. Then last one. So I'm just going to put another rectangle. This will be purple, right? So 50 and 50 lah. Okay, last one. Find the total number of circles and triangles in figure 99. Okay, so for figure 99, we can technically figure out how to create the circles, but for me, I just want a shortcut. So 1 is to 8. Okay, so let's do something similar to what we've done here. So figure 1, whoops. Figure 1, total number of circles and triangles is 8. Total number is 15 for figure 2. Then the next one, 3, is 22. Okay, so that means if you guess the total addition to this is what? 15 is plus 7, right? And then 22 is the same. Right, oops. Arrow again from 15 to 22. Wait, okay, let me get an arrow that is like this, and then plus 7. Okay, so same, right? Same here again, right? Basically, for figure 1, we have, oops, in this case, figure 1 is basically 1 plus 7. And then figure 2 is what? 1 plus 7 plus 7. Okay, figure 3 is 1 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. Okay, all right, so I think you already know. So for 1, basically it is the same as 1 plus 1 times 7, 2 times 7, 3 times 7. Okay, and then I think you can figure out figure 9. Okay, I think pretty straightforward as well. Okay, so with this, figure 9 is equal to, or figure not 9, 99 is equal to figure 1 plus 99, right, times 7. Okay, and then let's see. So 99 times 7. Okay, so 99 times 7. Oops, multiply by 7. And this will give us 693. 693. So 693 plus 1 is 694. And that's the answer. The answer to this is 694. In this case over here. There you go. All right, that's about it. Okay, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more of this kind of video, subscribe down below and comment down what other papers you want me to go through next. See you in the next one. Bye bye.